Okay, we have some work to do, so I'm going to try to go really fast here. Okay, we are going to deal with these arrows that come off the screen. Now you can see they're spawning up here. You can see the arrows spawning up at the top of the screen, and they come down towards these spots here. So let's examine a couple of things. On the script, we have these spawning positions. I have -5, -2, 2, and 5. So I placed these. If I click this red arrow, you'll see that it's at -5. The yellow one is -2. This was at 2, and this was at 5. Okay, and so that lines up with these numbers right here. There's the x coordinate. Got the x, y, z. And they spawn up here in the sky, but they have to fall down to these graphic, just these arrows are just graphics sitting there. They have to spawn down onto those, okay? And then what is actually spawned are what are known as prefabs. So if I click one of these, you'll see that I made these prefabs in here. It's like a prefabricated object. That's what prefabs is short for. Okay, so we're gonna do all of that right now, and I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can. Now, from Photoshop, it's up to you. You need to make your arrow in a new document. You can copy and paste it from your stage layout, and then you're gonna go File, Export, and you're gonna export as a quick PNG, and put each arrow. So I had like my right one, I had my up one, and so you have to put each one into a folder as a PNG. That's how you could have the invisible parts behind it. And I did that already. I saved them all into here. Okay, I saved them into I made a folder, and I exported these PNG files into here. Okay, so now I'm gonna select these and drag them into my Unity project. So let's go to my Unity project here. I need those graphics in here. I can just take them and drag them into here. So I have the arrows in here. Now, you'll see that they have white boxes around them. I'm gonna select all of them at once. You hold shift and you click multiple things. Holding shift, you can select multiple items. Up here, I'm gonna change this to sprite and 2D. And make sure this says single. A lot of students, I've been going around the room and it'll say multiple right there. Make sure you set that to single. And then hit apply, and then you'll see that it kind of fixes them up. And you have the invisible parts. I kind of forgot what order they go in. Is it left, right, up, down? Let me just take a look. It goes left, right, up, down. Okay, so I'm going to drag the left one onto the stage. Whoops, what happened there? What happened there? Create new animation. That's not what I'm trying to do. Let's drag the left arrow. What in the world is going on here? Let's just drag it here. Okay, really, what am I missing? Let's do it this way. Create an empty game object. We'll go left, call it left, and we're gonna go add a sprite render and drag this left arrow up into there. Okay, and then I'm gonna set it at -5, because remember we looked at that script and set it at -5, and I'm just gonna drag it down here. Why don't I see it? Let's set the Z to maybe say -2, -3. Let me take a look and see why we're not seeing that. Let's pull that back. Interesting. Let's order and layer. Let's change that to a higher. Why are we not seeing this? Let me. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so my. I had on the y-axis I had it too low. Okay. Duh. Okay, so let's just move it up a little bit. There. Okay, good. So there we go. It was off. It was out of the camera view, and you could tell where the camera view is by clicking the camera, and you could see that. Watch, if I look, it kind of clips right there. You could actually drag the camera back and forward if you wanted. It's kind of cool. Okay. Anyway, you can play around with that on your own time. So now let me. Here's a little trick. We can copy and paste this, Command C, Command V, and move it over here. And then all you have to do is change the sprite in there. Okay, I'm gonna name it right. Okay, let's do that again. Command V, I already had pasted it, so I'm gonna go like that. Oh, let's set the right at, what was it, -2, I believe. And then this up should be at, I believe it was set at 2. Okay, and then we need the up graphic. You could also change it here. Arrow up, you click that little, those round dots, and then paste one more time. Whoops. Command C, Command V. Make this one down. Change the graphic to arrow down. Where is arrow down? Let's type the word down. Arrow down, and then we are going to set it, I believe, at 5. Okay, so we have the arrows on screen. Now, how do we get the arrows to fall down? Okay, first thing, in scripts, we are going to assign, I should have wrote down here for this, make everything nice and clear for the viewers. So scripts, okay, we have these, this spot for the, where target hit transforms. So you're gonna open this up. You get a little arrow here. This nice organized coding. So we're gonna go left, right, up, down. So you're just dragging where the targets are. So the programming, you could always look at the code. You can double click this and look at the code, and it's telling the prefabs to fall, and if they're next to those things when you click, that you're gonna get the correct answer. Okay, all right. Now we are going to, let me make sure I did all that right. So let's go to the other one. So in scripts, we did have left, right, up, down. Yep, same order. Okay, now let's just get a prefab. If I push play, still nothing's, you get the speakers and the lights moving, that's all. Okay, and then how are we gonna get the prefabs coming down? So we're gonna need to make our first prefab. Okay, so let's right click in our assets folder, create a folder, and it has to be called prefabs. And that is designated by Unity to know where these prefabricated objects are. So I'm gonna right click and add an empty game object called arrow left. And it's gonna have a sprite render on it. And we're gonna put the left arrow. So that one. Okay, and then let's drag that into the prefabs folder. Once it's in the prefabs folder, we can delete it from the stage. Okay, now let's just try something. Let's go scripts, and we are gonna, where's the prefabs? Note prefabs. We call them notes because I was making it a music notes at first. So it's note prefabs. Sorry for the confusion. It should say arrow prefabs, but they were music notes at first. So when I push play, let's see what happens. Note prefabs. Nothing. Oh, there we go. Okay, one is spawning. Okay, and they're not going very far, and we'll have to adjust that. So we're gonna have to investigate why they aren't going all the way down. What's up? I'll probably have to adjust the camera setting. I think we're probably just our camera settings are off. I'll fix all that. But let's just, for now, get the other prefabs, and in the next tutorial, we'll line everything up correctly, okay? So here's one trick we could do. I'm gonna drag the prefab back into the hierarchy. I'm gonna call this one arrow right. I'm gonna break it apart first. You right click and say prefab, unpack it completely. So it's no longer the prefab, you just broke it apart, but it's just a way to make things go faster when you're working, I guess. And then you could just change this to the right and then drag it into the prefabs, and now you have two prefabs. Okay, now let's break this one apart. Prefab, unpack completely. We're gonna call this one arrow up. And I'm gonna drag this into here. So now we have an up prefab. Ooh, shoot, oh, well, this is good. How can you edit a prefab? If you double click it in the folder, you can then edit it. So I didn't edit it in the hierarchy. And then there's a little back arrow right there. Right there, you can go back to your scene. That's probably a useful tip. Okay, so now let's control prefab unpack completely again, and we'll call this one down. Okay, and then we'll change this to down. Where's the down arrow? There it is. Okay, and then we will add this here, and I'm gonna remove it from the hierarchy, And then in these scripts, you probably guessed it, we're gonna drag the right one into that element, and then it's up and then down. So we go up and then down. I'm gonna push play. The next tutorial, because I don't wanna make this too long, we will figure out why they're disappearing, when they're disappearing, and all that good stuff. And they're not showing up. You could take a look at the camera. Let's pull the camera back. Well, we'll mess around with all this in the next tutorial so that we can get everything lined up. But this is the process. Okay, so have fun putting your objects in there, and maybe you can investigate the code and stuff, and then figure some things out before the next tutorial. That would be like a little challenge for you. There's our camera settings. I'll just show you what camera settings are on there for now from the original one. And then anyway, we'll get your arrows on there, take a screenshot of this setup, and have fun. Have fun.